For the first panel, this panel is going to be moderated by Navratan Bohra, Vice President, Anand Rathi Shares and Stockbrokers. So can we give him a huge round of applause? Can we give a huge round of applause for Navratan Bohra ji, who is the VP of Anand Rathi Shares and Stockbrokers. Then, in the session, we have Harshit Rathi, EVP, Risk Analytics and Modeling, Northern Arc Capital. Can we please welcome Mr. Harshit? Then we have Nishant Pradhan, Chief AI Officer, Mirai Asset Global Investments. Can we please welcome Mr. Nishant? Then we have Trushil Vora, Head Legal, Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC Limited. Can we please welcome Mr. Trushil Vora? Then we have Aditya Goenka, who's an industry expert. So can we please welcome Mr. Aditya? Talia, we need the claps to come. Thank you. And then we have Sachiv Kumar, Senior Partner, STS Advocates. So can we please welcome Mr. Sachiv Kumar, guys? And with this, we have all the panelists and the moderator with us on the stage. Give it up for the very first panel of the day, guys. Thank you, and over to you guys.
Yeah, very good morning, and thank you, Krypton, for having us for the panel one. Good morning and welcome panelists also to the session. It's my pleasure moderating the session. So before we begin the session in the manner what we start normally, I would like to have from the audience, in case you have any expectation from the panel sitting here, we can take that question first and then probably we can start the session. So anyone, any question, any expectation, since you already have the topic with you, you would like to ask any question or you are have any expectation, probably you can raise hand and we can take that question first. Anyone, any questions? Yeah.
So I'm Moderator Singh, I'm from Iceberg Technologies. We are into space of end-to-end onboarding. So my question to you is, how are you solving your customer onboarding journeys along with compliance to the turnaround time to onboard your customers much lower, as well as the experience is higher? Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the question, and it's the right way, Nishant, the way we have started, because somewhere or the other we all know the topic, but it's more important that how we can help you also and what is your expectation from this panel. As far as the customer journey is concerned and the streamliningness is concerned, see, a lot of applications are available, but before that, what I can say is your own company policy is very much important. What exactly you want to be, which space you want to enter, and where you want to scale up your business. Basis on that, you can easily streamline, because regulatory wise, lot of regulations are there related to the KYC account opening journey, but at the same time, I guess we always try to focus on the duration of the part. Like how short duration we can create, how we can skip the processes, and not showing what exactly is required regulatory wise, and try to be skip all those things. But long-term sustainability, it is important that showcase everything. Maybe it will increase your journey by 30 seconds more, but it is worth. That is the first thing. Second, it is when you are sharing everything with your customer, it gives you a good trust building in your brand. In case if you are redirecting any person from your application, show them. No need to hide and make it so smooth, that the journey is smooth, because regulatory wise also it is important, and at the same time, the customer onboarding when you are having on your applications or via any medium, that is the very first journey, that is the very first impression that customer is having with you. And KYC documents now we all know in all the regulations we need to maintain for a long term. So it's better to have in a smooth regulated way.
Just to add to it, as we talk about experience, customer doesn't want surprises. That's why the RBI has come up with the policy regarding key fact statement, whereby all the commercials, all the interest, all the fees which you're going to charge them has to be crystal clear. So the most onboarding experience is that it should be transparent, one. Second, the kind of feel and the look which you're giving to your retail customers. Like I'm going to have a quick loan, or if I'm going to have a EMI conversion, then the API which is being used by the shops and the other establishment, it should be hand-free, or it should have a crisp documentation in terms of lag, also in terms of clarity, and the short document where they can read fast and they can agree to the terms. So it should be smooth, because RBI is very clear that you can't play with the customer now. That's why a lot of regulation which has come in terms of the KYC, in terms of the disbursement, in terms of the fees which are being collected. They should know where the fees are going, because you cannot take fees in any LSP account. It has to go to a directly RBI. So those experiences I think are much better, where you make them easily available product in terms of fintech lending, because there are so many online systems are there, so many apps are there. So wherever it is easy, fast, and they know that this is what I am agreeing to, I think they will be happy.
In addition to what they mentioned, I'd like to pick up on one word that Sachiv just mentioned initially, which is transparency. And according to me, that is the most important and vital factor while onboarding a customer. You need to ensure that the customer not only gets onboarded and signs all the papers, but the customer should also understand the most important terms and conditions before signing up or subscribing to a product. This becomes vital at a later stage, where if and when there is a dispute. So in order to prevent disputes from a legal perspective, I think transparency will play a great role at the time of onboarding a customer.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I'll also add a point here. So the question is very valid, because the tussle between digitization and giving a smooth onboarding journey, at the same time risk mitigation and security. So this is the main tussle which is there, like in the financial services. So there's an expectation today that you have to be digital, like it has to be smooth onboarding with very minimum data. At the same time, we don't want, say, the wrong customer. So how do you do that? And I think the firms who are able to do that, where you don't need to collect, say, 100 data points from a customer, which has no meaning. Like identifying the right minimum data, to make the journey smooth, and then being able to predict, like based on the data, what is the risk or security. So that is where AI comes in. So if you are able to use AI, say very diligently, you will not hassle your customer by asking them to come to the branch or giving you 100 data points. At the same time, you will mitigate risk. So you can handle both.
Yeah. So yeah. Your next question. Yeah. If you can pass the mic. Yeah.
Myself, Trushil from Capital India Home Loans UK. So my question is very specific related to the KYCs. So 2 days back we have seen that many banks and NBFC got penalized by RBI, and that penalized is basically with respect to KYC only. Recently there is a circular that whenever you do the CKYC of the customer, the OTP will go to the borrower, and from that you have to upload the KYC. I want to know that from the panelists, that how do we do this activity when the OTP will go to the borrower and thereafter you will upload the KYC in Sarsai portal.
See, we have to understand why this regulation has come. The thing is that
Regulation
nowadays,
is regulation is basically respect to the digital data privacy.
yes,
Yeah.
the reason behind is like your document is available with lot of vendors.
Correct.
We receive from a legal perspective, we will say, lot of cases we receive where customer says, you know, मैंने तो account खोला ही नहीं sir. It is not has been processed by me.
Is now when you upload this KYC to this website portal, the user who is actually uploading this KYC, he has to wait for the OTP. Now in this case, if the borrower has changed his mobile number, then it is borrower responsibility that he should inform the lender or the financial institution that he has changed the mobile number. In case if the mobile number is not updated in his system, then what will be the implication, especially with related to upload?
See, it's little technical and critical question you have asked. But as far as RBI is concerned, what they are trying to say is that the banks and NBFCs, what they are not following is that they cannot outsource the eKYC model. They can only outsource the tech portion. So when you talk about the compliance issue which the other banks have been penalized, see in the video KYC, the customer is already there in front of you. When you talk about Aadhaar being misused or the phone number being changed, that is something which is being already cross-checked. I don't think any lender, when they are doing this OTP thing also, first of all, Aadhaar verification is done. So unless until there is a fraud mechanism, so that is something which is a legal issue which will be tackled from case to case. But I think as far as RBI is concerned, when you are doing the eKYC, the entire process of KYC has to be with you. Only the tech can be outsourced. So the responsibility remains you whether you're doing the OTP-based, Aadhaar-based authentication or whether you're doing the video eKYC. So let's be very, very careful. That's why the RBI is saying you being a RE, you cannot take this eKYC very lightly.
I would further like to add, this is happening because a lot of muled account is there in the system. That is the first thing. To curb that also, to sanitize the system, and at the same time, it is not a new regulation. As an entity, as a financial institution, you have to update the client's record. That is the responsibility of the institution itself. You have to have the updated financial details of the client. But actually, are we doing that? We are not doing. At the time of onboarding a client specifically, and the precise question why the penalties are being getting levied. Most of the accounts are opened in a physical era. The data is not available. When the KYC has been sorted for, it has not been available with them to check it. At the same time, those customers are still active. Like even if you will see, you might have not transacted in your particular bank account for more than 5-6 years. But still that is active, still you are receiving the messages and all. Now it has been made mandatory that if a transaction is not happening in a particular account for more than 6 months, a year or 2, you have to, marked as a deactivated. Let client come back, do their re-KYC process, because it's not about only the digital thing. Even if you go in your SBI branch, that is a very old banking era. Every time whenever you go after a year, they want your KYC. Why? Because somewhere or the other, it is important to update your KYC record. Even if you are doing digital in online mode also, after a year, they always, show a pop-up on your window, on the login screen to confirm. The reason behind all these things are the KYC updations. If that is not there, so maybe and why OTP is required? You might be using your mobile number for a certain period of time. Suppose that you have, stopped using it. Later on, somebody else has been allotted that number. That is also a case. So that's why government is trying to cap between the RBI related things, the TRI related things, that how we can ring fence it. So it's basically a trial and error thing that is happening. And some way or the other, we all have to bear that pain.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hi, good morning all. As Sir mentioned, the integration of AI during the process of working onboarding is not process. As a major part of for customers is data implementation of AI of banks and NBFCs. How will financial institutions ensure the security of data for the customer? Because as a customer, my main point of view will be that my data is secured, and I would want transparency and accountability from the financial institution that I'm engaging with, that they ensure that my data is safe. So what are the practical aspects to it?
Yeah, for the customer, so first of all, I think so we need to understand like what part of the customer data is important for the customer, which should not go outside, which is their PI information, so their mobile number or their email ID. So basically, they are concerned about is it possible for someone to identify them. Okay, so that so the fields which will be helpful to identify a customer in the public world are the fields which are important. Now, say there are fields which will not be sufficient to be able to identify you or your neighbor. So those fields, like, it doesn't matter. So that is where I think there is some activity today where people feel that everything about me is important. For me, say Nishant. Now, like I may have, I may have some data point which will not be say useful to identify me, and that is where I think what we do is where you have information which will help in identifying a customer in the public world or say even within the firm. That information is not available, accessible even within the firm, like even within the financial services. So that information is kept isolated. Whether it's your table or whether like say it's your folder, Excel, Snowflake, SQL, like anywhere that you maintain. Now there is say if you want to understand your customer, to model their behavior. So now I'll talk about AI, where like if I want, say we have 100 people in the room, and if I want to figure out that these 100 people, like what are the say 10 different types of behaviors over here. Maybe I can say that see there are say female at the age of 30, 35, like very affluent, say looking at like investing in funds. That's one behavior. Now that behavior will not identify you like in person or know your address or mobile number. Nobody can target you. So I have actually I have segmented say these 100 people into 10 personas, or it could be 100 personas. That is possible using AI. And then how do I use that? How do I use that to predict, say, the risk of default or to predict in terms of what, say, my customer is looking for? So maybe like in my table, I will map each one of you to a behavior. And the behavior is something I will use for my marketing, for my risk assessment. That behavior need not be isolated. It's your individual information that needs to be isolated. So that understanding the firms need to have. And and the customers also slowly they're getting educated.
No, I think what she is trying to understand is that when you as a customer is giving information and AI is taking it, how do you protect this? It's not about how you use it. So to answer your query, see now the new regulation which is going to come. Obviously, right now there's ambiguity. There's an open AI also. There is your own AI also. So there will be a clear-cut, explicit consent. The moment you have taken a consent for one purpose, the organization cannot use it for another purpose. Let's be very clear. So you can't use it for, okay, if you want to go ahead, you go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing here, which is on the security of data with respect to use of AI. So basically you can't use AI just like on the portals. There are ways to download the AIs in your offline servers as well, which is the open source AIs, which maybe not the full models, which is say a 720 billion parameter, but there are very highly effective quantified distilled models, which can be also used as your local software. And on top of it, AI related workflow can also be integrated in your cyber security domain. Like for instance, a few people use it in encrypting their Aadhaar numbers or encryption of various PII details, so that when the files move from one place to another, the files cannot be read by a regular user, and only the admin or a few designated users have the power to decrypt them. So AI has multiple use cases, not just in the data usage, but in the data privacy as well.
So,
Yeah.
would like to add, yeah. So, to add to what he said, even at our organization, even at our organization, what we focus on is to deploy AI in controlled environment. And at the same time, the data that is fed into the AI is also controlled and the data flow is mapped, right? So there is a very low probability of the data being compromised. At the same time, from a legal perspective, what we are trying to do is to have a relook at our contracts with most of our partners, as well as our privacy policy and the non-disclosure arrangements that we have inside as well as outside the organization. That obviously with the tech evolving, with the regulations and the law evolving, we also need to have revised contracts with revised clauses to make them more robust. And we ensure that we have sufficient clauses in the contracts that enable us to protect the data of our customers. Especially with from a data privacy perspective, what we have now brought in is additional penalties on the partners who have access to the data. So there is a limited or controlled manner in which the data is shared with them on a need-to-know basis. B, there are heavy penalties in case of any breach or abuse of the data. And C, we have also introduced provisions pertaining to regular audits and inspections, right, to ensure that the usage of the data is aligned to the purpose for which the data has been shared with them. So that's how we are also evolving our policies to control data usage and protect customers' data.
See, I would just like to add, the question is from user perspective or from the company perspective? User perspective, then as an individual user, we all should be aware, because if the expectation is only with the financial institution, so okay, fine, you can have certain guidelines which is available. But at the same time, as an user, you are sharing your data with lot of other websites, social media, and lot of like Zomato, Swiggy, lot of online shopping. Data is already in the web. It is already over there in the dark web. There is nothing like you are safe. From financial institution perspective, we will say that your expectation is only related to my financial transaction. Then also you are using your credit card, online banking, everything on all the apps. The education is very much important. That how you are getting exposed, how vigilant you yourself are for your own financial and your identities. You can't always blame financial institutions. That this data has got breached from this place or that place. Because customer is not only my customer. You might be a customer on 10 or 100 different places. So you can never predict that from which side your data has got breached. That is the first thing. Even from the organization perspective, from a financial institution perspective, what I can suggest is to educate your customer. Give it a clear directions that was this. Because see, nowadays, a lot of omni-channel things are happening. We all want to give us a very seamless customer experience to our client. So we are sharing a lot of data that we have, to do the KYC, smooth journey. Because somewhere or the other, it's you guys who is willing to want that, looking forward to that. Because if we don't provide, we are losing you as our customer. So it is your choice first as an individual to understand that if we want this kind of seamless experiences, then definitely something is getting breached at the back end. So that user need to understand. And from the financial institution perspective again, we should take the ownership that, we share the complete details, like Nishant also said, like the most important terms and condition.
But I think that is too harsh on the customer. I mean, if she is giving her information on a platform of yours, which is AI driven, they are trusting you. How will she know where will my data go?
No, but what he's trying to mention is that, the customer may have given information to the publicly available AI platforms.
No. They are dealing with the entity. So when you're putting your information on an NBFC site or
Right.
any Swiggy site, if they are not compliant, somebody is collecting my data. So I am to thinking that this is totally compliant.
Correct.
Yeah. So actually, see, I mean, if you look at like in the outside world, what is happening today? See, there is a urge for us to even share data. Today we are not the same as we were 20 years ago. I mean, if you tell everybody to stop posting on LinkedIn or Instagram, I mean, half of us will become insane. We will have mental issues, depression, schizophrenia. I mean, so there is a need as a human to go and share. Like all of us are active on some social media. Now, at the same time, we need to be cautious in terms of what you are sharing, because you have AI, deepfake, and everywhere. Yeah.
That is public information.
Yeah, but even with the financial firm, like when you are sharing information, as you said, consent is there or not? Is the consent is for how long? So if you are aware, I think you will be aware.
It's the required information which the person has to share.
Yeah, you have to, if you have to take a loan, you have to put your financial...
PAN card and
You have to put,
You have to, yeah.
So she's talking about those data privacy, I think, the
Right.
contact details and all.
Right.
So I think the point on using AI for encryption as well comes into the picture here, because AI has to be used in both enhancing the user experience, but also towards the cyber security. There is a lot of buzz on the quantum computers these days, which are the cyber safe techniques, wherein hackers, there have been some hackathons where they have tried to hack the regular security infrastructure with quantum computers, and they have been able to. So those hackathons then become a source for designing those cyber safe, cyber security instruments. So there as well, AI has multiple use cases in terms of protecting the data and also the data transfer within or externally.
And that's where the new act will protect. It's a huge penalty. Doesn't matter how it will get breached, but the entity will be penalized. So you will see in future, when the penalty will start getting implicated, then obviously entities will be more watertight. At least not 100%, but they need to be 80% at least compliant to protect those 500 CR penalty.
Sachiv, the question is when will the act be enforced?
That's what
in 2 years.
I think in this closed room, that's where it is stuck right now. Lots of IT companies, lots of companies have approached the government, because if you see Section 4 and 5 of this DPDP Act, I don't know how you will cater to that, because it talks about notice to be given to the existing customer. Now think about Amazon. They have got crores of customers on the website. As per the section, when this act comes into picture, every entity needs to go and take re-consent. How? And the clarity which they have not given in the act and the rules itself is that if I am not going to use a data which is saved with me, why do I go and take a consent? It is not about new customer. It is not about the new transaction. I had given you a SIM card. I have a data with me. What do I do? As per the act, you are again supposed to take that confirmation from the customer whether I should use or not use. It's a huge infrastructure issue for all the companies. That's why it is stuck. The big companies are totally opposing this because they will need to have infrastructure in the place, put in a lot of money, and small players need to have this system in the place. So tech, I think there are lots of tech guys here, they need to have a lot of investment. So small firms, how will they do this investment?
But they are okay to comply with GDPR, but not the Indian laws. I mean,
No, that's also, if a GDPR also you see, GDPR is not like Indian DPDP Act. If you compare, our Indian DPDP Act is on the lines of GDPR, but we are far ahead than GDPR, I will say. And I can actually do a point-by-point comparison. We are saying data principle. See the word principal. We are asking our customer as a principal. They say data fiduciary, I think. They are the principal. We have to protect them. So our act is very clear. We need to protect data of the customer. That's it. How you will protect, I don't know.
Yeah. So I have a question, follow-up question on the same thing that we were discussing just now. Right now there has been no mechanism by BFSI organizations to prevent the data of the customer. I'll just give an example. I myself, you have recently there is a company called Just Money, right? They have been defunct because they did not get funding, right? And they were just co-lending with some NBFC's help and all, right? So all the data that they collated of their customer, all of a sudden the company which overtook them, it got that data and they directly started accessing the data without the consent of the customer. Now, at the end of the day, the loss is going to be to the end user, okay? It is not to the organization. So there has to be some ethical and moral duty, because we understand there's a lot of money that has to be put on the infrastructure, but then that has to be a baseline, because as you rightly said, right, data is the base for you. On basis of the data, you're going to, customers are going to leverage the financial product. But that base has to be outlined by the infrastructure. The infrastructure has to be given by companies. So I want to understand how much percentage of your revenue or profit, the money is being spent on the data privacy. Because as recent as one fintech organization in the month of December, the data got leaked and SBI data was sitting in the Russian server. So, I mean, the losses are going to be the end user, and that's the reason end user in the DPDP Act that you mentioned, right? Even though it has not been enforced till now, that's what it principally talks about, that you have to always take a consent of the user, because the user does not know where this data is being utilized, for what purpose it is being utilized. So I just want to understand, since you are from the industry, right, how much percentage of money that your company puts, ensuring that there is a data privacy and security for your end customers, the data that you take from your customer.
See, I think money will depend on how much this tech guy will charge you. Because once this DPDP Act comes into picture, it's mandatory.
Understood.
Now, as far as now the compliance is concerned, keeping the data in which cloud you are keeping, I think as a India, we need to understand that rather than any regulation or any policy or the law, because any innovation is followed by regulation. So you innovate, there will be a regulation, right? We need to have a privacy culture. Right now, I know some of the clients and some of the companies who are not waiting for DPDP. Like how he said, they have changed their system to make sure that they are in the compliance of the coming act. So you need to have a culturally designed privacy structure, and it should be privacy by design. When I say design, meaning at every level of your hierarchy, people should be taught and the text should be given that it is secure. It's not that a branch manager has taken an information, he has fed it, and it goes up and somebody has taken the printout of that information and lying on the table. This is a breach. You have collected data digitally, because under the DPDP Act, even the scanned copies of a digital asset will be a data. So we need to be culturally sound that yes, as an organization, we have to preserve things. Why to wait for more laws and why to wait for more regulation? So, and every level you will have to teach people, because ultimately the company's board is going to be penalized. So you need to make sure that your people are educated, because even keeping a Xerox is something that they have not done intentionally. Maybe it's an unintentional product. So cost-wise, yes, how big you are, how small you are, because significant data fiduciary would need more, right? They have a more information. If you have a tech platform, then you need to be more robust in terms of your layers of security, so cost will change accordingly.
Yeah, rightly mentioned, that is cultural change basically required in the organization.
Yeah, like if you see in India, you go to West Side, they unnecessarily ask you a mobile number.
Yeah, just to add, see, so it is not that, just because we have DPD, So for the next 5 years, you're going to build a new architecture. Obviously the tech would love it. So this is a new like revenue model for them. But see, ideally what has happened like in the tech in the last 20 years is like we have built applications. Now whether it is a core banking application or your lending application or your fund processing application. Now the applications, so there are two things. One is the processing and the data. So unfortunately, data has been used only for the processing. We have actually overlooked the importance of data and say privacy and AI. AI is all about data. I mean, for the understanding, so whatever AI and insights and analytics we do is all coming from the data. And we as an industry, BFSI, IT, we have, we have stored data into SQL, folders, files, like as he said. But we have not built the data culture like within our organization in terms of, what is the data, say who owns what data. How do you model the data in a star schema where like you have your customer information in one table, you have transaction, people have not modeled it. They have built the application, the tech has thrived, business has thrived, we've made money, but no one has looked at data and, build the data culture in terms of who owns the data, in terms of where do you store the data, for how long do you store the data, and you mark the data in terms of what is PII and what is not. Not everything is PII. Like you might have 500 tables, but you have to safeguard only 5 to 10 tables. But that understanding is not there in 90% of the organization. And they feel that I need to safeguard all 500, which will be a huge cost. But if you understand that, then the cost is very minimal and incremental.
No, that's why if you see the bank NBFC, and I recently had an encounter with one of the home loan process. If you see, every bank has made a policy that you can't send them a Google Drive. There will be no document above 2 MB. But the RMs will ask you document over WhatsApp. And you will be compelled to give them because you want processing of your home loan, suppose. They will ask you to send on their personal email ID. So this culture is there.
No, I think, in addition to what everyone just mentioned, what we are lacking right now is, adequate training, right? So we may have robust policies, we may talk about the culture, right? But how do you shift that culture, right? And I think the answer to that would be to invest in training your people to, handle data, to maintain confidentiality, and to explain them the consequences of, not following the best practices. Right, and that is how I believe we can see a cultural shift that can ensure robust data protection within the organization.
So shall we move to some other use cases like business or credit, because we have been speaking on compliance, KYC, and data privacy.
Yeah. So Arshid, my question to you, since you are leading in the risk analytical and data analytical part, so how you see basically AI, ML are seeing a transforming basically you can say traditional risk assessment model in NBFC and Fintech.
Yes. So ML is basically the machine learning or the technique which is used to train the data set and then arrive at certain results out of it. So I'll say ML has been in the use for quite some time now. So you must have seen a lot of customer scorecards, underwriting scorecards, for instance, which uses techniques like random forests or gradient boosting and all. So that basically gives basis the data, which is the training data set or historical data set. What is the probability that a customer might default? To add on to that, which is already a lot of fintechs use, the AI enables a lot of advanced features with more deep learning, like AI. So for instance, I'll take a use case which we had developed, like we have a product called loan against property. So for lab, we actually developed something called as multimodal AI. So the property is the collateral, and earlier the condition of the property and all was all judgmental basis, the credit appraisal guy who goes there and fills in certain details. With multimodal AI with certain good models like say Gemini or Cloud Sonnet and all that, what it does is the machine understands the video of the property which is taken, what is the condition of the walls, how is the paint, how is the roof, is it a pakka roof or a kacha roof, if it, for an affordable lab for instance, and then gives a score. So those sort of multimodal AI or say text related large language models also comes into the picture, apart from the machine learning, which was already your own data set, training on that and coming up with the regression or random forest related outputs. You now can use alternate data or other such data with AI. So that is a very good use case. For collections, for instance, there are a lot of good use cases. You can transcribe the call recordings and do a sentiment analysis of those call recordings to see whether the borrower who is in default and the collection call has been made, what is the intent of that borrower to repay, whether based on the voice tone of his voice in the call or the language he is speaking, the kind of words he is using, you can do a lot of sentiment analysis. So there are multiple such use cases with AI, apart from ML techniques which people already started using in last 6-7 years.
Yeah, so very relevant use cases with respect to loans against property and the collection part you have shared. In addition to that, I would also like to add things. So we are from the broking space, and we have close to 100 branches. We have close to 1,500 business partners. And the major interaction happen between the dealer RM versus the customer. So what we are working in the terms of, we have almost 50,000-60,000 call every day between the client and the RM. So how do basically we convert that audio files into the transcript format, and then read out of the data keyword from that transcript format, just to analyze basically, you can say, the compliance perspective one, with respect to the behavior of a customer, second point, and the most important, which basically justify the ROI, is the behavior of the RM. How basically my RM is able to basically pass on the research call to my end customer, and the customer is able to basically do trade, generate revenue out of it. So this is probably use cases which we also do in the AI space. But since we have Nishant here, who is heading AI specifically in the wealth management space, so I would like to understand from Nishant. Nishant, from an AI implementation standpoint, how do you ensure basically that AI-driven financial models are basically explainable and also are in compliance with the regulatory requirement?
Yeah, thanks. So see, I will just so I'll explain a few things which people so there is a concern about and they don't get it. Like for example, people say that I've been doing things a certain way. Whether it's fund management or equity research, and they feel that if you want to use AI, so AI is not something that I go and do my end-to-end activity in AI. So people have that misconception that like if I'm launching a fund, it has to be end-to-end AI. So AI is something where AI will be used as part of the process. And I think this is where like people don't get it, like globally as well as in our country, where like you try to say compare your manual process with an AI-driven fund, and then you see the value. And if the AI-driven is not accurate, then you say ki AI is not helping me. So there, I think we are getting it all wrong. So, and I'll take a few examples. Like for example, say fund management, equity research. Yes, you can go and you can launch a fund using AI end to end. You can do that, but like obviously, like for a mutual fund, there are regulations in India. You can launch a say AIF, like in the VC and in the private banking industry, the regulation is light. But see, what you can do is like your initial research for say stock selection or your theme identification. So currently we are using ChatGPT O3 Deep Research. We already have a few licenses where, and I mean, if all of you, like if you have not seen it, like it is not like your normal ChatGPT. You can create a prompt which is like a one-pager kind of a instruction manual, and it would give you a full assessment of 40 page. And that assessment can be a very good input, to the fund managers.
Yeah, just one addition there. One deep research report which I generated, it actually searched across 4,000 websites and generated that content.
No, absolutely.
That's the kind of agentic AI capability, deep research.
Yeah. So I think we should, so wherever we are, like in whatever organization, don't compare that I am doing things manually and with AI, is it helping me? No. AI will help you do it manually, but you're part of the process. And I think this is where, like, even SEBI, the regulators also need to be educated, where it is not that your end-to-end is AI. We are doing only the initial research, where we are using Gen AI, like to identify your universe, filter it. And then beyond that, we will use our traditional quant models. And now if you go to lending, so lending also the same thing, so maybe for a say high ticket loan where you have your credit scoring model, like you have your credit decisioning models which have been built over the last 20 years. Now if you are a small ticket loan provider, where, like, how do you identify your initial segment? Now you have minimal data, like across India, like some data is there in structured, unstructured form. To do the initial filtering and identifying your target segment, use AI. Okay, but that doesn't mean you go and give a loan to all the people that you have filtered. After that, you apply your credit scoring model. And this is a very simple thing which people don't get it. So they feel that either I will do end-to-end lending with AI or I will do it manually or with the traditional quant. Either I will do end-to-end, say, fund management with AI. So I think that is where, so hopefully in this room, we go out with a takeaway that there is no end-to-end AI. AI is always an assistant. AI will assist you in doing the things today. Today we are not able to, comprehend, because we have, as a human, we have a capacity limitation. I mean, I cannot do a multiplication of, 3-digit versus 3-digit. I think none of us can do it. I cannot remember, the complete line by line of my annual report of my stocks in my portfolio. I cannot process it. The same paragraph, if say, each one of us, if we read the same paragraph, we will interpret it differently. Same paragraph, if you read it second time, you will interpret it differently. So we have limitations in interpretation, in our memory, like in computation, and that is where AI will help you. Like, it is your chatbot, it is your assistant. You use it, but do your own things. So that is where I think we need to clarify. Like, AI will help you everywhere, whether it's fund management, equity research, in your marketing, in your operations, in your compliance, in your risk reporting, but use it as a tool, like as an assistant.
Anyone would like to add with respect to compliance with the regulatory requirement? Anything, Aditya or Sachin?
See, from compliance perspective, use of AI in a good ethical manner is always being good. That can help you. The AI, you can use it, to streamline your processes. It's not necessary that, to understand the customer behavior, the ML, the machine learning thing, the surveys that we used to conduct previously, you can easily get it conducted through online now. That helps you to target your correct audience, to whom you want to sell, whether that product, what are their preferences from the geographical location also, from their spending pattern, their preferences of restaurants, or any lifestyle kind of a thing. That helps you. The use of AI in your business is somewhere or the other, you can use to understand the customer behavioral, and accordingly you can curate the products to offer them. So, it's not necessary that everything is available for everyone. It is. But showing and pitching the right thing. Like, supposingly, if you are looking for a car loan and I am sharing you the details related to the property loan, it will not be helpful for me. You are not the targeted audience. At the same time, for other things as well. Like, and when we talk about, the machine learning and use of AI, the best example in our day-to-day life is the moment you search anything, any holiday spot, vacation that you want to go, on any social media, you will start getting, the details of that particular location on all your other this thing. So this is what kind of a AI. This is somewhere or the other they are giving you the information which you are looking at. AI is always going to have a, two things I will say. If you want to know the, use of coffee, the health benefit, it will start showing you that. If you will make the query, what is the bad impact of having coffee? It will start showing that. So it doesn't have its own brain.
No, but as far as the regulatory aspect you have asked for, obviously there's a need right now to have a proper regulation for the AI thing, because as you said, AI is roaming around. Okay? So from where AI is getting the data, we have to think about IPR breach also, right? If the AI is giving you certain information after he said that 6,000 data analysis, then one report came. As a lawyer and as a legal issue is AI breaching any IPR? One. We have already spoken about the secrecy and the confidentiality, so I'm not repeating that. So from regulation perspective, we have IT Act and all, but I think we should have a very specific now regulation for AI also.
First of all, if you will see, in whatever the AI tools you use, the ultimate result when it shows, they say it can be wrong.
And disclaimer is also there.
Disclaimer is there. To means which particular site they are searching, from where they are collating the data, and what output they are giving, the source is unidentifiable. So you have to use your own arithmetic that, whether we want to go ahead with this particular output that has been given from the AI, or you want to use your own senses.
And how to have that ethics and discrimination being separated in AI?
So Trushil, my question to you is probably, so you are from the financial institution, AMC probably. So how do you, as an organization perspective, try to have a balance between the data, basically from the, you can say, data personalization to a customer and the data privacy from the regulatory perspective?
Well, I think we have spoken a lot about this, but in a nutshell, I would like to say that both this concept, that is personalization and privacy, are kind of at opposite ends of a spectrum, right? Because for personalizing suggestions, you need to have access to the data, and if you have access to the information, you may end up violating privacy of an individual, right? But personalization has become a necessity to gain the competitive advantage, to remain in competition, especially since the customers are demanding that the data customers are demanding that whatever products are being offered to them, suggestions are being made to them, are personalized or customized, tailor-made to their needs, right? So from that perspective, I believe we cannot do away with personalization, but at the same time, to ensure that there is a adequate balance between personalization and privacy, right? Like we all discussed a while back, I believe the first step will be definitely to manage and control the data collection, and also map the data flow that occurs for personalization. Like he rightly highlighted, you need to identify what parameters need to be shared with the AI and what parameters should not be shared, right? So from that perspective, the data flow is something that has to be controlled. At the same time, consent will also play a major role. While collecting the data, the consent needs to be very precise and specific in such a way that the customer who is sharing the data also understand the consent. And it should not be just a lengthy, say, 10-15 page privacy policy, which nobody will bother to read or understand. And lastly, from a governance perspective, it is healthy to develop a culture where the legal and compliance team works together with the product team and not in silos, right? So that, at the time of designing or developing a product, right, there is adequate check and balance that is being ensured from a legal and a compliance perspective. So this is how I feel we can, balance privacy and personalization.
So, Aditya, as an industry expert, I would like to understand from you about the practical application of blockchain, how they are basically gaining you can say, presence in the financial market.
See, through blockchain mechanism, if you will see, ultimately it's the data flow that is happening. It's more on that side only. In what sense you are flowing the data and how you are utilizing. There is nothing more. It's just a kind of a technology that we are using. From compliance perspective and legal side, only thing that I can share is when you are deploying something, as Nishant has correctly said, when you are deploying something, you have to, compliance and legal should not be a tick mark activity. In this particular era now, why previously, whenever we thought about legal and compliance, we always said, yeah, 25% if you are complied, we are fine. 30%. Now, regulator has come up with this thing because you have to comply with 100%. That is the main reason that we are talking so much on the data privacy security. To be very honest, I was having a discussion with one of my ex-CTOs. They said, boss, data is no more a concern nowadays. Specifically to any company, because the way it is flowing, we have huge data. And in the name of providing services, personalized services, this, that, we collect so much data that now it is becoming a problem for us how to maintain those data. Because why you need these data? If you want to process a KYC, you just need 5-6 pointers. That's it. When you want to process any loan, if it is secured, unsecured, you again need 4-5-6 things, nothing more than that. But still we are collating so many data in different ways. That's the reason I initially, when somebody has asked also that the privacy, somewhere or the other we have to, as a user, we have to understand what data we are sharing, and that knowledge, education needs to be there to the mass. That is only going to help us. Otherwise, everything will going to go on to us. Because the way we are using UPI, the best example. Now, how you will say that what is your privacy? If right from, going, the moment you step out, you started using your API. Through UPI, what you are doing? Your bank account is linked. Every moment, every second, wherever, even 5 rupees, starting from 10 rupees payment to everything that you are doing it through UPI. Your entire transactions are getting monitored. You are creating a digital history. So every data is available. Now even like, in banking, when RBI says that, you need to maintain the client data and the statements and all. Previously, when, we used to deal with the cash, it was easy for banking also to maintain those, statements. Because हमारी भी statement जब हम generate करते थे, तो उसमें क्या entry होती थी? भाई cash withdraw या जमा किया आपने? पासबुक में आपकी मुश्किल से साल भर में 25 या 30 एंट्री आएंगी. Not more than 25-30 entries. Now, even a month statement you won't be able to print. So what we are doing? We have to think from our own perspective कि ultimately do we need to be that tech savvy? Do we need technology on that level that you are using every second and moment, without that you can't? Means nowadays what we become an habit. The moment you are out of the phone, I remember on day before yesterday there was a mock drill, and because of that the net servers were down. I actually felt so pathetic that we can't live our life. It is becoming so difficult. We were of that generation जब internet नहीं था हमारे हाथ में, right?
But what to do? I mean, nobody will give you cash. You have to pay.
I still use boss. I still
but
don't.
No, even the Panwala is not giving you any cash right now.
You carry
it's compulsory. I mean, everybody is saying that GPay karo. So even if you're carrying 10 rupees, they don't want to give you. And all these Blinkit people, Zomato people, if the order is for 76 rupees, and if you pay them 400, they don't return you money. They say, boss, sir, हमारे पैसे नहीं है.
हाँ तो दो challenges तो हैं ही बॉस देखो. That is
now government is encouraging UPI payment. 2 lakh के ऊपर का transaction you can't do. Even if you withdraw something, government is going to take account of your transactions. So better do UPI.
there is a pros and cons.
That's
Like
what
you know,
you were saying, not
even
to
if
save
you
up.
will use the DG Yatra, so the government is tracking all your flyings.
That's why we
Previously
are
that was
trusting
not
government,
there.
na? That's what I'm
See,
saying.
that is how the data is being getting shared. That is means the entire conversation is like how vigilant you can be upon your data. As a user, unless and until you yourself is not vigilant, you can't blame others. Means ठीक है, as a financial institution, definitely they had certain regulations, regulator are there to penalize them and all. So ठीक है, you can. But can you expect that to everyone, from every vendor that you are being interacting and making your transactions? So ultimately, it's not about the bank or the financial institutions or the players. It's about your own data. That is the only thought process that I want to live at the end. Ki ultimately, it is your data, you are using it, so you have to understand how you are using and where you are breaching those things.
Yeah, so thank you for your insight. And before we close the panel session, I would invite each panelist to basically share a quick closing thought, one key trend or recommendation for financial institution navigating the digital era.
Yeah, so I think we should not talk about things like data, privacy, AI. See, at the end, like what our customers demanding is innovation. See, so the firm which is able to innovate and come out with innovative products in this generation is going to be the winner in the next 5 years. Now we need to understand to innovate what you need. To innovate today, you can't innovate without data. Because you have a lot of data available today. You cannot innovate without creating a data infra, without understanding what data is important, without, data privacy, understanding, and without being able to slice and dice using AI. So, end goal is innovation.
So, first of all, I would like to apologize on behalf of the panel. I think we did a lot of talk on data and privacy, but unfortunately, these are the hazards when you have like 3 lawyers on a panel. According to me, the key trend is the focus on adoption of AI, right? And AI is going to be the future. Sooner or later, organizations need to learn to adopt AI in a more ethical and a secure way, rather than blocking or banning the usage of AI, because those who will adopt AI will definitely go far beyond what the others who would really lag behind in case if they don't adopt AI. So that's what I think.
Yeah,
Use it, make your life simpler and transparent with your customer. Ultimately, that will only going to help you.
I think my final take will be do whatever you want to do, pay your lawyers well. You will be taken care of. Breach your data, we'll take care of it.
That was an interesting one. So, to be more specific with respect to the finance industry, I think there will be a lot of focus on customized, fine-tuned, specific models like the LLMs or the AI models, which does specific tasks like the treasury tasks or the risk management tasks. So there will be a lot more fine-tuning in that aspect, and we'll have more such models coming up.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the key takeaway, basically the innovation, adoption of AI, transparency, customization, risk management. So thank you for a lovely audience and the panelists for the insight and the experience sharing. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Please be there on the stage. It was an insightful session, and I think good start where people asked questions first and then we took through the panel. So long story short, AI is here to stay and we have to be vigilant users. Thank you so much for all your knowledge. And I would like to invite Prachiti to present a token of appreciation to all our speakers, followed by a quick session. So let's give it up for them, guys. So first up, we have Navratan Bohra, who moderated the session so nicely. So thank you so much for your time, sir. Next up, we have Harshit Rathi, EVP, Risk Analytics and Modeling, Northern Arc Capital. Thank you so much. I would like everyone to please introduce yourself with the total of claps and appreciation. Then we have Nishant, Pradhan, Chief AI Officer, Virai Asset Global Investments. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We have Trushil Vora, Head Legal, Birla Sun Life AMC Limited. Let's give it up for Mr. Trushil, guys. Then we have 𝐏𝐚𝐧𝐞𝐢𝐬, who's the industry expert. So let's welcome Mr. Aditya with a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for all your words of wisdom today. And then we have Mr. Sajeev Kumar, Senior Partner, SDS Advocate. So let's welcome Mr. Sajeev, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Can we please all assemble for a group photo?